So when we come here to this place, this is a monastery, this is a forest monastery. Tanacha Mahabua describes it as the forest university. We come here to practice, we come here to study the Dhamma that arises within our hearts. We do not study the Dhamma that arises somewhere else. This is a place for practice. That means when we come here, we are determined to put all our effort in our practice. And in the beginning of the time, the practice is the practice of calming the mind down. We have to calm the mind down. There is no other way. The mind has been, all our life, has been jumping here and jumping there, has been a monkey mind. If we are not going to control it, if we are not going to put it to rest, then it will jump around and burn our hearts. That's why we have to control it. We have to tame this mind. We have to regain control over this mind. At the moment, the control is with avijja. Please do not forget it. Who is in charge of us, who is in charge of our mind, is nothing else than avijja. Avijja is the power that keeps us going on from life to life, from birth to birth, from death to death. It makes us go to hell and it makes us go to heaven. So when we come here to this place, we are going to practice the Eightfold Path. First of all, we are going to practice the 5 silas, the 5 precepts. The 5 precepts, in short, are not to harm any living being, not to take what is not given, not to use harsh speech, false speech, abusive speech, not to indulge into sexual misconduct, and no alcohol and no drugs. These are the 5 precepts, and this is the first column of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path, as mostly described here, is the path of Sila, Samadhi and Panya. Sila are the 5 precepts. Samadhi is the ability to concentrate, and is also developing mindfulness. Mindfulness is the basis of our practice. If we do not know what we are doing, then it's useless. If we are just sitting there and our thoughts go here and there, then this is not practice. The practice is directing the mind to the object of attention. And the object of attention, as long as we do samadhi, that means samatha meditation, that means calm meditation, we direct it towards one point. This one point can be, when we do anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing in and breathing out. This is the tip of the nose and nowhere else. Just the tip of the nose, and there we get the sensation if the breath is coming in, if the breath is going out. There we know if the breath is shallow, there we know if the breath is deep. There we know if the in-breath is longer or the out-breath is shorter, or the out-breath is longer or the in-breath is shorter. That's what we know at that one point. We focus on this one point because the sensation of the air coming in through our nostrils is there the strongest. That's why we keep our attention there. This is one way. Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing in or breathing out. The other thing is the repetition, the mental repetition of the word Buddha or Dhamma or Sangha. Once we keep repeating Buddha, our mind cannot think anything else. So, it's also one object and one who observes this object, or one who knows about this object, or one who knows about the quality of the object. Because the Buddha itself will change, like the breath itself will change. The repetition of the Buddha might be in the beginning very fast, and then once the mind calms down, it gets slower and slower. But the depth of the word Buddha increases more. Once it gets slower, it penetrates more of our being, or more of our knowing. It's like the breath, when it becomes deep, it penetrates more than when it is shallow. This is the knowing faculty of the citta. Or I use sometimes mind, or I use sometimes heart. Depending on it, mind and heart are qualities of the citta. It's one and the same thing. But because we are not used to the word citta, that's why I use mind and heart. So when I use mind and heart, remember that I'm referring to the one citta. The citta that is the prime mover for all things. The citta is that moves the body. The citta is that forms thought. The citta is that forms Vedana, Sanya, memory, association, and Sankhara, thinking and consciousness. The 5 khandhas. So, when we get in calm, then all our effort and all our determination is, once we notice that the object of attention, or that our attention is going or moving away from the object, we put it back on the object. We just put our attention back on the breath, or back on the Buddha or Dhamma or Sangha. And that's where all our determination, that's where all our effort comes. We do not push the breath, and we do not push the word Buddha. We just softly keep our attention on this word. We just softly keep our attention on the breath. And once we know the attention has gone, we just pull it back. That's all what is necessary. But that our determination and effort is in pulling it back. So understand that correctly. Always pulling it back. The moment you notice the mind has gone off, or the mind has gone for a stroll, pull it immediately back. Don't worry about what it has investigated. Don't worry about what it has encountered. Just pull it back. And that's what we are doing in this beginning stage when we are coming here. We do it from the moment we open our eyes till the night we close our eyes. There's nothing else. We can always repeat Buddha. We can all our activities. And the activities are kept very, very simple here. The activities consist of, in the morning, having one meal, and in the afternoon, around 3 o'clock, sweeping the path, or sweeping around your kuti and cleaning up your kuti. Another activity is washing or taking care of your body. For this kind of activities, we still can use our main focus, and this is either the breath or it is the word Buddha. These are simple activities that do not require to think a lot. And that's why we can keep it. So we can keep it all day long. That means 18 hours a day. And the effort is just the moment we see it going out, put it back. And you will notice, if you really do that, if you really are intent on doing it, if you really are determined on doing it, then within 3 or 4 days, the mind calms down. The mind really calms down, because it has no other object to indulge into, no no other object to stroll after or hang after. It has just this one object. And why this one object? Because we want to get the mind one-pointed. Do you understand that? One-pointed. One point means 1 point. At the moment or at the beginning stages of our practice, there are always 2 points. There's the observer and there's the object observed. Or there is the knower and the object known. There are 2 different things. It's not one-pointedness. So, by not giving the mind a chance, or by not giving the chitta a chance to get out, to stroll out, to encounter this or encounter that, to think about this or to think about that, to feel this or to feel that, we will make it one-pointed. First of all, once the mind gets calm, it might enter into Upachara Samadhi. Upachara Samadhi is access Samadhi. Access Samadhi is then when for the first time the mind stops thinking. And that makes a whole difference. Once the mind stops thinking, we will still experience a lot of other things. All other phenomena that we normally do not encounter while we are still thinking. So, Upachara Samadhi is access Samadhi. Access Samadhi, it's called because it gives us access to all different sorts of experiences. Experiences that we cannot make until our mind jumps here and jumps there. Access Samadhi also because it gives us the chance to go to this world or that world, to all the 36 realms of existence. That is the access Samadhi. That's where we can transfer. It's the train station where we can choose the train. But we do not choose the train to all the different countries or to all the different worlds of existence. We choose the one train to one point, because we really want to know what it is all about. We really want to know what is it that is one-pointedness. So we go on. We keep our attention still on our word Buddha, 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 or on the breath, until the breath completely disappears from our consciousness. Once it disappears, because it gets so subtle, we jump onto one who knows that the breath has disappeared. We do not get frightened, or we are not afraid. We just go to the one who knows. And once we turn our attention onto the one who knows, we will disappear. We will disappear in one-pointedness. This might be a long process or a short process, depending on the person, how he has trained his chitta. Once we enter one-pointedness, the first thing that disappears is the body. The body completely disappears from our senses. It completely disappears from our awareness. That is the first thing. And then we will notice that the whole world will also disappear. The whole world of hearing and whatever and consciousness. It just all disappears. And all what remains is one-pointedness, or just pure knowingness. The knowing, Tanacha Mahabodha calls it the knowing nature of the heart, or the knowing nature of the chitta. That is all what remains. So the world of duality we normally live in has completely ceased. And that is for the person who experiences for the first time a wonder. Because he has never believed that this whole world, this whole universe can disappear. And that what remains is actually knowingness or happiness, peacefulness, calmness, wholeness, something utterly pleasant, something utterly amazing, something utterly wondrous. That's why Tanajan Mahabua calls this state of samadhi the Nibbana of the little man. Nibbana of the little man. It's a preview of how Nibbana will look like. Because in Nibbana, no duality exists. There's only knowingness that remains. You could say, our true nature of the citta. We will, for the first time, experience the true nature of our citta. Why he calls it little man? Because everyone who puts his effort, who puts his determination, everyone can do it. But we have to put our determination in effort not to let go of our object observed until we reach the stage of one-pointedness. So remember this very well. Everyone who tries hard, everyone who is determined can do it. But, of course, we have to get rid of all the walks and the strolls of the mind going here and going there, thinking about this or thinking about that, fearing this, worrying about that, and so on and so on. Because in the stage of one-pointedness, all fear has disappeared, all worries has disappeared, everything has disappeared, and all what is remains is peacefulness, happiness, and one-pointedness. So, think for yourself. If this is not something that you want to experience, if you really want to experience, you can do it, and I described the way how to do it. But, as you know, and you have meditated before, or you have practiced before, you know the mind just does not want to be curved in, just does not want to stay on this one object. So the difficulty is there. The difficulty is there to put always the mind back onto this one point. One point of observation of the breath, or the one point of the Buddha. And that's where our determination goes. And that's where our effort goes. So, if you really want to do it, you can do it. It's not a question. But if you are more interested in whatever your mind is thinking or the mind is doing, then of course you will not be able to get down. You will not be able to get down to the true nature of your own heart. So it is up to you. It's your own decision. If you want to see it, then you have to work hard. It's not an easy work. In the beginning, it is very difficult. It's very difficult always to put the mind back to the object, because the mind has, since we are born, or also the previous lives, like to think about this, like to think about that, worry about this, fear this, do not like this, like this. And now, we have to turn the mind around. We have to turn it around to just stay put on this one object. Now get that clear. If you really do it, you can do it. If you really want to do it, you can do it. And the difficulties are the difficulties, and when you remember it, once you learn to walk, once you were a little child and learned to walk, you got up, fell down. You hit your head, you hurt your hand, you hurt your body, but the moment the tears were dried up, you got up again. And only this kind of determination and only this kind of effort that you put into the process of learning to walk, of learning to move this body, made you in the end being able to walk. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to come here to this place if you wouldn't have gone through the difficulties. And remember, it wasn't just 1 week that you learned to walk. It was half a year, or sometimes 1.5 years. Now, another thing, you wanted to walk, and that's why you learned it. You wanted to experience the outside world, and that's why you learned to walk. Otherwise, you would have never experienced the outside world. Otherwise, you always would have lain flat on your back or on your belly. And all what you would see or experience would the things be around. Now learn to walk in the terms of practice. Learn to put the mind to whatever object we put it onto. And stay put with it. That is learning to walk in the terms of practice. Practicing the mind, of calming the mind down. It's the same thing. If you all can speak, all can write, but how long did it take you to speak and write? It took you years with lots of effort. And if you wouldn't have trained it every day, if you wouldn't have trained it for hours and hours every day, just remember the process of learning to speak. In the beginning, lots of funny words came out. Because you couldn't pronounce it, you couldn't utter the correct sounds. And it's the same thing with the practice. In the beginning, the mind just does not want to stay put. So, we put it back. And that is hard work. Hard work just being able to be compared to the process of learning to walk, or the process of learning to speak. And the pain that comes with this process, just the process or the learning to walk, the pain that we experience while we learn to walk will be the same thing when we start to practice. The pain that comes up from the sitting posture, the pain that is influenced by the avijja to deter us from our practice, is something that we have to learn to cope with. It's not that we only endure. When at the beginning phase, when the pain comes in, when we sit for half an hour or an hour or maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, when the pain comes in, the first thing is we do not react towards the pain. We just notice there has pain arisen. The person or the knower and the pain are two different things. So, the observer observes that the pain has arisen. The observer cannot be the pain, can it? Whatever you can observe, whatever you can take note of, is not the knower itself. So there are two different things. So in the beginning phase, we just do not put any interest. We just know pain has arisen, and then we go back to our meditation object. Next time it comes in, we go back to our meditation object, until the pain becomes so strong that we cannot stay any longer on our object of meditation. And then we turn our object to the object of pain. Pain is pain. Whatever arises has to cease. That is the law of anicca. There is nothing, there is no constancy. Things are changing all the time. So, then we investigate this law of anicca within the pain. If that is true, that whatever exists in this universe is changing all the time, is arising and ceasing, changing and not constant. So we have, or we can observe this quality or this fundamental principle within this pain. And that's what we are going to use. We are going to use either anicca, anatta or dukkha for the investigation of the pain. Anicca is, as I described before, it's the changing nature of all phenomena in this universe. Anatta is, I explained it before, that is not me, that is not myself, that does not belong to me. In other terms, the observer cannot be the object observed. I hope this is clear. So, the observer cannot be the pain, but the observer knows everything about the pain. This is the principle of anatta. And the principle of dukkha in the kind of pain is very easy. Dukkha is everything that is unpleasant. Dukkha is everything that produces restlessness. Dukkha is pain, is suffering. It's all kinds of varieties of discomfort. From the smallest discomfort until the biggest pain, mental and physical pain. So, and there we have these three tools to investigate pain. We also can investigate pain in another way. We can say, is the pain the flesh? Or is the flesh the pain? If you feel the pain is in the flesh, if you feel the pain is in the bones, then we can ask ourselves, is the bones the pain? Or is it something different from the bones? This is kind of investigation we do. We can also investigate the pain by observing the changeability, or by observing, is it point form? Is it a point pain? Is it just a sharp pain? Or is it a broad pain? Or is it an area? Or however it looks. And however it changes. So this is investigation of pain. We just do not endure the pain, we investigate it. We investigate it because we want to understand the true nature of the pain. What is pain? We have this word. We have this symbol, pain. And we are so afraid of even just of this symbol. When we hear it, we feel a shudder rolling down our back. Or we feel, when it's strong pain, sweat coming out of our skin. Because we loathe it so much. So we really have to investigate this pain. In the beginning, once we sit only for an hour or 2 hours, the pain will not become very strong. We can deal with it very easily. 1, 2 hours, that's not a problem. When it goes to 3 hours, the pain might become very painful. And in this process, and that is the first stage of pain, there are 3 stages of pain. In the process of sitting for 12 hours. Just sitting for 12 hours. There are 3 phases of pain. The first stage of pain is just one thinks one cannot sit anymore. One breaks its body and the body breaks up or one dies. And if one is not prepared to die, then the pain will not go away. If one is in the sharpest moment of the pain, just when the chitta forms the thought, the next moment I will die. And then I'm prepared, okay, I will die for that. Then the next moment the pain completely disappears. But if I'm not prepared to die, if I doubt that this is the right way, then the pain will of course not disappear. If I face the pain, if I'm determined to go whatever it needs to go through this process, then I will see the wonder that from one moment where I thought that I'm going to be killed, the pain completely vanishes and nothing is left of it. And this is another wonder that we can experience within our practice. This is the wonder of seeing the nature of avijja lying to us that we are going to die, or seeing the nature of avijja that actually produced this pain. Because the pain, we actually thought that this pain was in the body, that this pain was in the muscles or in the bones. But once it has completely vanished, once it has completely from one mind moment to the other, completely disappeared, we know it is not true. So, somebody lied to us. And who is the one who lied to us? It's the master of magic, it's the master of delusion, it's called avijja. So, avijja has no interest of doing this kind of practice. That's why it produces all this pain. And if we are not, as practitioners, prepared to go through this kind of pain, to investigate it and even face mental death in that process, we will not see this wonder where the pain completely vanishes from one mind moment to the other. So in the terms of samadhi, this is something, when we walk for 3 hours, then normally the pain is not really great. But when we sit for 3 or 6 or 8 or 9 or 12 hours, the pain becomes unbearable. But the thing that cannot bear this pain is not us, it's not the knower, it is avijja. It's nothing else than avijja that tries to lure us into this fact that it cannot bear the pain. Avijja is the only thing that is completely afraid of death. It's terrified of death. It's not us, it's not the one who knows, it's not the citta that is afraid of death. It's avijja that is afraid of death. If we know that, and we know when we sit down for 3 hours, nothing will really happen. When we sit in the airplane, that takes 12 hours or 14 hours or 24 hours, we will not die because of we are sitting such a long time. But the moment we just sit for 1 hour in our practice, we think our whole body will explode and burst into bits and pieces. Just take this for reflection. Now I explain the process of getting into samadhi quite elusively, in a very detailed manner, and also I explained the fact of how to deal or how to investigate pain when it comes up, because that is one thing that we all have to deal with. We all have to go or pass through pain. There is no way. Our whole life has been pain, or has been dukkha. Lots of dukkha. And this lots of dukkha brought us to this place, or brought us to other places of practice. Seeing something else, seeing a different nature. So, I explained the wonder once we face this pain, and once we are ready to die, that this pain will completely vanish from one moment, one mind moment, to the next mind moment. And that is in a flash. It's the same thing. That is one wonder that we can experience. Another wonder that we can experience is once the mind gets one-pointedness and the whole body disappears, for the first time we know that the body is not our true self, or is not part of ourselves. Then this whole universe disappears, then we know we are not part of this universe. That's why it's called a preview of Nibbana, or the Nibbana of the little man. These are the first 2 columns of the Eightfold Path, or the path that leads out of dukkha. In the process I have talked about investigation, but I only covered up the pain. The last part of the path is investigation. Investigation, or developing panya, developing wisdom, is training the heart. We do not develop wisdom. And now take heed of this. Make a mental note of this. Knowledge is not wisdom. Whatever we can acquire through books, through talks, through hearing, is not wisdom. It's just knowledge. Wisdom is developed in the heart. Wisdom comes through insight, seeing inside the nature of the true nature of the heart, or seeing inside the true nature of all the things, of all phenomena. So, wisdom, the path of wisdom, the path of investigating, as I described it for the pain, is the same path of investigating to see that the pain is not the bones, or the pain is not the flesh, and the pain is not the one who knows about the pain. This is training the heart, telling the heart that this, what it believed to be, is not the case. So wisdom is training the heart to see. We cannot train the heart only one time. We have to train the heart over and over again. We have to tell it, do you see that? Do you understand that? Have you observed it well enough? Once we have observed it well enough, we will understand a little bit. But it's not our brain that understands, it's the heart that understands. And we have to teach the heart until it can let go, until it sees the mistake it always has made. The mistake that this thing is me, this thing is mine, or this thing is myself. The mistake in seeing this and attaching to this. That is the way of wisdom. The way of wisdom is teaching the heart. Do you see this? Did you observe it? Did you observe it closely? Did you observe it so that you understand? And when observing these things, we need a mind that is able to stay put on one object for at least 10 or 15 minutes without letting the attention go into a different area, or letting the mind going strolling here and strolling there. So, and because I'm tired, I will stop for now. My breath is going out. So I hope you'll understand what I talked about. I talked about samadhi. I talked about sila, and it's all these things are not an option. Neither samadhi is an option, nor sila is an option, nor panya is an option. They all must be developed likewise. They all must be developed at the same time. Mindfulness must be developed. The ability to concentrate on one object must be developed. Wisdom must be developed. And our morality, or keeping our precepts, must also be observed. All at the same time. We cannot just develop one aspect. And we cannot fool ourselves in thinking that the only thing that frees the mind is wisdom, so we forget about the other two. We cannot, if you really understand what I said about the development of wisdom, the development of wisdom can only be done with an objective heart. A heart that is not attached to this or that. A heart that is not attached is a heart that has mindfulness. Mindfulness is objective itself. Mindfulness doesn't mind if there is pain. As long as there is mindfulness, the pain can stay. It's not us. So if you understand, all three things, sila, samadhi and panya, have to be developed at the same time. It's like we build our kuti, or it's like we build our house on 3 columns. If we just raise one of the columns, our house will not be even, or we cannot even build it. If we build it on 2 columns, it will not be stable. Only building it on 3 columns will it be stable, and will it be finally developed to Nibbana. So, and now I really end.